What's that shirt, Frank? It looks familiar.
Oh, it's just the
Is that Centipede logo? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, because I could only see like part of the eyeball and part of an antenna, and I was like,
but that's
Centipede?
enough to go like, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Game Informer, vulture capitalism, me I gon' blame, a licky boom boom down. This is issue 354 of the Insert Credit Audio magazine, where GameStop has no authority over our horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and the cleanest public restroom closest to my home is in the Whole Foods just down the street.
Oh my.
I'm Frank Cifaldi, and I don't track clean public restrooms near me because I have a car. And don't spend a lot of time in places that aren't my home, my office, or a grocery store.
I think you can still answer, though.
I don't know that I can.
Give it a shot.
I can make something
You
up.
ever been to that grocery store restroom?
I literally can't remember the last time I used a public restroom in Oakland.
But you have, though, right?
I have. I'm thinking. I am live thinking about this. Okay, Berkeley Bowl West has that like building across the street from the main thing, and you go upstairs and use the restroom. And I always thought
that's a good bathroom.
A pretty good bathroom. Yeah, that is a grocery store that has 30 varieties of apple.
Yeah, they got a lot. I'm Tim Rogers, and I guess the cleanest public bathroom near my house is in the lobby of my apartment building.
Oh, that's a good one. I've used that one.
And I'm Brandon Sheffield, and I don't know that it's the closest to my house because obviously I don't know all the public restrooms, but there's a decent, clean-ish one at the Safeway that I go to that's in my old neighborhood. I still go to the Safeway in my old neighborhood.
It's real hard to specify something with two binding criteria.
Sure.
Cleanest and closest.
Cleanest and closest. You got to measure them both.
Scientists would tell you to
get a life.
Narrow your field of interest.
Have two separate categories.
Yeah.
But the cleanest half-price books bathroom, because I frequently go to half-price books in Dublin, Fremont, Berkeley, and Concord. And the cleanest one is in Concord.
I think the question should have been the closest clean public restroom.
Yeah.
Where you'd put it on a binary where if it's not clean, it's not eligible. In which case, it's still the one in my apartment building lobby.
I would be inclined to do it the opposite way. The cleanest close public bathroom, that it has to be within a certain radius of your home.
Yeah. It's just there's a chance in the case of it being clean or not clean, 1 or 0, you might end up with no answer.
That's true.
And we can't let people like Frank and Brandon win on this one.
No.
That's right.
So
this podcast has always been 2 against 2.
It has to be the cleanest, the closest clean bathroom.
Here's my first topic. Game Informer's dead. Let's talk about it.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
I never read Game Informer, but I hung out with those guys at their office in Minnesota once.
Game Informer is the only magazine that I ever received in the mail because of GameStop.
Yeah.
So I read some of it and then was like, I don't know if I agree with these guys' opinions on the Sega Saturn.
So you're glad they're dead, is what you're saying.
The Sega Saturn?
I know, it was a long time ago.
When were they talking about the Sega Saturn?
Did I make that up?
I mean, they probably were. They were talking about the Sega Saturn at some point.
But at that, like, if we're talking contemporary, it would have been in the 90s, and it would have been. And FunkoLand was not near us.
The GameStop era, yeah.
Like, I don't think FunkoLand had made it to the West.
I mean, we're talking about the Sega Saturn in 2024. There's a decent chance that Game Informer was talking about the Sega Saturn in 2010.
I went to FunkoLand in the 90s.
Okay. I was just basing it off of Vegas.
Well, Brandon is a Funko Pop purchaser because he said Funko.
I got my copy of Symphony of the Night at FunkoLand.
I take it back. When I started collecting games in like 99, I went to a FunkoLand in Vegas.
That's right.
Okay, so.
Isn't it crazy that FunkoLand is what they used to call is a company that got bought by GameStop, and now GameStop sells almost exclusively Funko Pops?
Wow. Yeah, I think about that.
Why don't they just call it FunkoStop? Right?
They still probably have the trademark.
There we go. That's your episode title, FunkoStop. There we go. We're done. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Just get to the title. I got to go to the post office.
I got some recommendations.
So Game Informer was a video game magazine / website / YouTube channel, like content creator sort of thing, right? There's not a lot of those left. There's literally nothing print left that's produced in the US at this point. For video games. And that should not be surprising to anyone. There is technically a US edition of PC Gamer, but that's primarily produced in the UK. It's a reprint of a UK magazine. And even in the UK, there aren't a lot of video game magazines left.
I think it's nice there's a whole magazine for politically correct gamers.
The print side should be of no surprise to anyone, right? There's also, like I said, a website, a YouTube, etc. But even then, I can't think of any larger media outlets at this point that are exclusively about video games, right? You think of GameSpot, IGN, maybe even Polygon. All three of them are just like mass entertainment.
Yeah.
Sort of an emphasis on games. But Game Informer was just, we do video games, right? And the only comp for that is like a blog like Kotaku or something, I think, at this point. So Game Informer as an entity, I think has been an odd business for GameStop for a long time. You know, the business model as it was described to me when I asked, because for those who don't know, I've spent a lot of time at Game Informer for game preservation reasons for the foundation, kind of like digitizing their stuff. And the business model, as I understood it, was that Game Informer was a magazine that told people what video games to buy at GameStop. And that was the reason that GameStop paid for them to exist. I think anyone listening to the Insert Credit program knows that GameStop is not a place that people go to buy video games at this point.
That's not a
thing. So
you buy video game accessories and memorabilia there. Now,
right.
Yeah.
So you have a business whose primary business, is no longer selling video games, funding a magazine, which, to be fair, they gutted the staff. It probably wasn't that expensive, but they're funding a magazine whose existence solely, from their perspective, is to get people in the store to buy video games. So, this was inevitable, is my take on it. It is sad that people lost their jobs, but I don't think that this has any, meaning beyond that. You know what I mean? Because I don't think it's like, oh, this is a signal of something else to come, or you know what I mean? This is just to me, this always existed on its own.
It's kind of
island.
the end of the things that were already.
It's a secondary or tertiary symptom of something that has been happening for kind of a long time at this point. But it's not to say it's not a shame that people lost their jobs. I know a lot of cool people who worked there.
Absolutely.
I hung out in their office once. We all know guys like our good friend Dan used to work there. Dan Reichert. A bunch of other people came out of Game Informer. So Game Informer produced a bunch of genuinely cool people.
So people lost their jobs. That sucked. The way that GameStop gutted it day of was remarkably weird. Probably had some financial reason for it, but that for those who don't know, the morning of, laid everyone off, locked everyone out, deleted the website.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It sounds crazy. I'm sure there's some, bean counter reason for it that we're not aware of, but I don't know what that could be. But clearly it was like a premeditated murder. If they had someone pull the switch on the website the morning of, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's weird.
We also, I should just, since I'm the game preservation guy, the whereabouts of a lot of the material that the Game Informer had are unknown and believed to be probably in a storage unit owned by GameStop that they're barely even aware of. So
you mean like all the games and things?
All the games, all the back issues, all the...
You know what? Here's my guess. This is terrible, but here's my guess about the game library that they have. They did just announce GameStop Retro.
I thought of this too.
Which is a place to sell retro video games, and they got
really?
Yes, they've opened up starting basically now. There's one in San Jose, there's one in Stockton. They're all in the far-flung zones. But I'm morbidly curious.
I don't think the inventory is enough to support more than 6 stores.
Probably
no,
not.
It's not. But I'm sure that they could supplement with it because they'd have if they want to sell some pristine high-end video games, that they had a lot of them. So
they had that magical chase in there.
Yeah, that's my guess.
And the shrink wrap.
Oh man.
by the way. They just never opened it. They had like the full laser active library.
I just want to say, if anybody here listening to this buys a game at a GameStop branded retro video game store, you're a goddarn narc.
Yeah.
Support your local businesses. Buy it off a goddarn eBay. Don't. It's just, that's weird.
I'm definitely going to go look at one. I'm going to go look at one. I'm not going to buy anything there, but I have to see it. I got to see what's going on in there.
That's just weird, man.
Do you guys remember the last game you bought at a GameStop that like you walked into one?
Final Fantasy 16 last year. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I had to, because I ordered it online and it just didn't show up. And it was supposed to show up the day the game came out, and I waited too long for it. And then I went and bought it.
I think for me, it was Arkham City.
Shoot.
Whatever year that was. I have no idea.
I bought one online from them.
I got to say, I broke a long streak. With last year's GameStop trick. So
actually, that's a good point, Brandon. I might have a GameStop order.
I think Jaffe did say in the store, though.
Yeah, you have to. You physically went to the store to get the game.
So I think probably for me, it had to be when they were clearing out their Xbox 360 stuff. I think I went and got, I don't know, Lost Planet 2 or something.
I will say I went to Target. I walked to goddarn Target, which was much, much further away in the opposite direction than the GameStop. I walked to Target. And I asked the guy at Target, do you all got that Final Fantasy 16? And he said, what? And I said, do you have Final Fantasy 16? And he's like, there's a Final Fantasy 16? And I was like, yeah. And then he goes, shoot, last one I played was 9. And I was like, okay. And he was like maybe like 20 years younger than me. So I was like, okay, this is a very strange situation I've gotten myself into as a 44-year-old man. And then I was like, all right, you don't have it? And he's like, I mean, I can check, but it's probably a no, chief, is what he said. And I was like, you just call me chief? And then he looks at his thing on his hand and he goes, nah, boss, closest we got it is the one over in Harlem. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And then he's like, yeah, he called me chief and then he called me boss. He might as well have just cut out the middleman and called me Hoss. So I started the trek. I walked about 1.5 miles north to the Apollo Theater, which has a GameStop right next door to its lobby. Good old showtime at the Apollo for me. And that's why there's a post on my Instagram that is Final Fantasy 16 being held up in front of the Apollo Theater. I opened my Instagram to try to get this photo to share with you as I revealed it, and Instagram just froze. So
that's what it does.
I have an email with my last pickup at the GameStop. It is from December 6th, 2016. If anyone wants to start their guess there. But this is a game that none of us have thought about probably since 2017, so probably not.
Oh, we're going to guess what it is?
You can if you'd like.
Can we 20 questions it?
Yeah, I want to do this.
Sure.
What year was it?
December 6th.
December 6th.
2016.
2016.
That is when my game was ready for pickup. I will tell you that it was pre-ordered.
Okay.
All right. 2016, huh?
Was it a Japanese game?
Like as in created in Japan?
Yes.
Yes.
Was it Final Fantasy 15?
No.
Whoa! That was, I'm sorry. It would have been great if it was Final Fantasy 15. I'm sorry.
It would have.
Yeah, because that came out November 29th, 2016. And I thought maybe, GameStop and their classic commitment to butterfingerishness would have, kind of kludged and accidentally sold your copy. And then you wouldn't have been able to get it for a whole week.
All right, that's 2.
Brandon, your turn.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of games that came out in 2016.
You can ask a narrowing question.
Question. Well, we're pretty...
You haven't asked platform? Come on.
Was it a PlayStation 4 game?
Yes, that's 3.
Okay.
Is this an Oculus Rift thing?
No.
You just said it was PlayStation 4. No, it's a bad question.
Great question, Jaffe. Very good. Very good.
Just wasted it.
Burning questions.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Now we know it was exclusively PS4, or at least not on the Oculus.
Oh, he didn't say it was exclusive.
Yeah.
He said it was on the PS4.
All right, Tim, your turn.
Was it a role-playing game?
No.
Okay.
Was it an action game?
What does that mean?
I know. Okay.
Do you have to press buttons with really in time?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I mean, whatever. That makes sense.
Is it part of a franchise?
Franchise.
It's a good question.
Not technically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I know what this is now.
Okay.
Oh, you do, huh?
Is it The Last Guardian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I was going to ask if it was exclusively a PS4 game.
That would have gotten you.
But yeah, that's an action game, I guess.
Yeah.
So that was pre-ordered by me. You remember how it took forever to come out? And it was a PS3 game. And it was something that I pre-ordered really just to keep track of because it was interesting. I was going to buy it either way, but I wasn't a pre-orderer. But I just kind of liked getting emails that like kept pushing the date. I thought that was amusing.
Yeah, that's fun.
So, and it finally actually just came out, and I just honored my pre-order and went to
Did you actually play it? Did you play it?
I did. I played through it.
Did you like it?
And I haven't thought about it since 2017.
Your thing reminded me that I actually also picked something up from a GameStop that I just remembered. But I never played it. It was on the Wii U, and they were like dumping it, and it was that Tokyo Mirage Sessions game. And it was just like super cheap, but it was getting expensive elsewhere. And I was like, I got to get it. And then I never played it. So there you go.
Sounds good.
I was going to make a joke like the Brandon Sheffield story, but you actually do play your games.
I play them.
Yeah.
I'll play them.
Mm-hmm. There's this company called Game Science that recently released a game called Black Myth Wukong. And they were warning the press
not to be woke.
Yeah, not to be woke.
Well, they weren't warning the press not to be woke.
They weren't allowed to discuss COVID-19 or, quote, feminist propaganda.
It was only the creators that were supposed to not be woke. The press could be woke.
No one talks to the press anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. As we just discussed.
Right. My question is, what?
Oh,
wait.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. I was so bored for a minute. What did they say? What did these people say?
They sent a mail to creators, not to press, that in addition to a bunch of other like standard caveats for like outlining the coverage they would like from this game, they asked people to not discuss COVID-19, to not discuss China as a country or its politics, and also feminism or other, I forget what the language was.
The words were feminist propaganda.
Feminist propaganda.
Here's where I confess that I actually am quite familiar with this situation. I was just trying to give somebody an opportunity to, make a joke.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, all right.
But thanks for the more that explanation will likely better serve a person less acquainted with the situation than I. Yeah, the question is what? Right?
Yeah.
So that's still the question, right?
Yeah, that's still the question.
The question has not grown a new pair of appendages
I would
since
say
then.
it doesn't surprise me particularly. I guess it's like they're worried about, I think more than worried about woke. What they're really worried about is the like Gamergator types who are more in the right-wing spectrum.
Yeah, it could be taken either way, right? But I mean, I guess the feminist propaganda thing.
The feminist propaganda part is related to the investigation into that company saying that they were terrible to women all the time.
Yeah.
And so they don't want you to say that because that's feminist propaganda. So they were blasting in all directions here.
So I'm interested in that game, to be honest. I'm interested in it because I majored in Chinese literature in college. My girlfriend's dead grandfather wrote the textbook that I read in my 4 Chinese classics class. I'm a huge fan of Saiyuki, as the Japanese call it, even going so far as to have read Dragon Ball, which is a little-known comic book from the creator of the Slime and Dragon Quest. I'm a big, Monkey King fan, and I kind of want to play that game because I also like those Souls games, and that game just looks neat.
His staff gets pretty long.
Yeah. The Power Pole Extend, as the original Funimation dub of Dragon Ball had it. I'm a real big fan of the Chinese myths and of the Chinese classic literature, and who better than a Chinese video game developer to make a video game that obsessively recreates minutia of the actual Journey to the West story. I've been very interested in that game, but god darn it, I consider myself capable pretty well of separating artist and art. Sometimes when I feel like I have to, when I feel like I have to investigate something, and I feel pretty good about separating audience and art. I watched Rick and Morty after that McDonald's thing. I did it just fine. Mm-hmm. But god darn it if they're not making me feel weird about being a guy who just likes Chinese literature and hardcore action games sometimes these days. Also, is it just me, or is the developer name Game Science like really ugly? That's an ugly
I don't
name.
like it.
It sounds like they're trying to be like objectivist, you know? Like they're talking like they're the kinds of people who would be worried about objectivity in journalism, and then it's like they are, right? Because they're like, our game development is scientific. Just sounds gross to me. So conflicted about that game.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that creators got this info, but I don't think that it serves them in the right way because, like, what are they really? What are they going to get out of that other than bad press? It's just a weird thing to do. It's a bad idea, but they went ahead and did it. I think they were hoping they could control the situation a little more. But you know what I have seen is that everybody's still playing it and talking about it anyway. Like it didn't negatively impact their world. Having said all that stuff, like still got purchased by a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Now there are some people out there who say that because it was anti-woke, that's why it sold well, and that's very upsetting as well, because that's clearly not the case. That has nothing to do with it. But that's that's one of those guys.
Stupidest people in the world.
Yeah, the old rock crawl out from underers coming up to.
You'd start to think, you know, eventually you live life long enough as an optimistic sort of person. You'd start to think that the stupidest people in the world are not clever enough to find the stupidest things to say. But you know,
like magnets, they're bound to each other.
Once in a while, they surprise you, right? It's what an unfortunateness. Game looks cool, though.
Yeah.
Game looks a lot cooler than that stupid game about Pinocchio, which was also very good, by the way. But it's like, I'd rather play that than a game about goddarn Pinocchio. Pinocchio sucks.
So we have the opportunity here on Insert Credit for each of us to add one game to vice presidential candidate Tim Walz's Dreamcast library. What are we putting in there?
Pass. We like opportunity means mandatory. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guy's last name is Walz, dude.
Yeah.
That actually kind of rules.
All right, to add to his Dreamcast library, we each get one. Is that what you said?
Yeah, we each get one. We know he has Crazy Taxi. We know he probably has NFL 2K.
Okay. Wait, do we know for sure what any of the games are?
No. There's a strong guess that Crazy Taxi was one.
What kind of idiot wouldn't have Crazy Taxi, though?
And then the big assumption is NFL 2K because the Vikings were strong in that game. He was coaching football. It just makes sense.
He probably got it for that.
Yeah, almost certainly.
No, it was a very impressive looking video game when it came out.
We can approach this from several different ways. We can try to influence the potential future vice president.
That's what I was thinking.
Or we can just give him a good time, or give him a little relax.
I think Skies of Arcadia, because anybody in politics needs the strong will to survive that goddarn many random encounters, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I recently goddarn plugged a thermometer into my Dreamcast, and let me tell you, them random battles is hot. There are, in fact, it has never been your imagination. They were worse in that game. By an order of magnitude, I will reveal in the future, the random battles were shockingly more common than in other role-playing games. By an exact number I have divined, which we will reveal at some other point later.
I can imagine Tim Walz playing Skies of Arcadia and being like, reminds me of my meeting schedule.
Exactly,
So I'm just workshopping here. This isn't my final answer, but I'm just thinking about what if I wanted to make him a little weirder and he had to play like Illbleed or something.
Yeah, but weird is the opposite of his brand. He's the anti-weird.
Yeah, I know, but he would understand me. He'd understand me.
The good kind of weird.
That or lack of love or just something really out in the brain zone.
I'm just going to do an easy one. He's a jovial guy. I think he'd have a good time with his family with some Samba de Amigo.
You know, I think you're right.
That's nice. That's nice.
I'm just going to give him a fun little game to play.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that he's maybe even vice president at this point. It's like, I just want you to kind of be relaxed.
Yeah.
I don't really know what a vice president does. I got to be honest.
Hangs out.
Yeah, he mainly breaks ties. And
they cut ribbons on new battleships.
Exactly.
They kiss new hospital bombs.
Yeah.
What else do they do?
They go to countries that the president doesn't want to go to be like, I'm here, I acknowledge you.
They wrap funny little autographed diapers on bombs bound for elementary schools. What else do they do? Stuff like that, right? Generally.
Stuff like that. I know he's got Crazy Taxi. I'm going to blow his mind. I'm going to give him Crazy Taxi 2.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't really blow anyone's mind. Sorry. That's
Sonic Adventure 2, those Knuckles levels are probably what it's like looking for voter fraud.
Yeah.
Right? Walking around until you hear a thing, fighting the accusations of a stolen election. Man, they're going to be talking so much about how the election was stolen, aren't they?
Oh, I can't wait.
It's going to be insane. They're already doing it, dude. At this point, it's going to be like, why didn't you just steal it yourself then? Right? If you know how stolen it is, why aren't you trying to steal it?
Yeah, that's right.
You idiot, right?
Yeah.
Come on, just get out there and start the steal, dude.
It's because they're just too honest. They're too honest. Here's the thing. I'm gonna prepare Tim Walz for January 6th, 2025, and give him House of the Dead 2.
Oh, that's
HOTD.
Good. White House of the Dead.
White House of the
White
Dead.
House of the Dead,
All those guys can suffer like G did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like G.
And ready for the inevitable.
How much did G suffer, though?
It's hard to
I feel
say.
like he died pretty fast.
Well, yeah, I mean,
your brain shuts off in the case of extreme violence.
That little demon imp sprightly guy does basically pose it as a question. So, we don't know.
Suffer like G did?
Suffer like G did?
I honestly believe that the provenance of that line reading has to do with Japanese video game companies notoriously providing voice actors zero context and only allowing them one take. So he's reading that line and just suffer like G did? And he has no idea. That's clearly
we got it.
That's got to be it.
I had a funny thing with that recently because I was watching a playthrough of Castlevania Bloodlines.
Good game.
And in the credits, there's one boss who is revealed to be called Princess of Moss. And when you look at it, it's very clearly like a Mothra type giant moth. And so you can imagine the translators received Mos Princess.
Mosu, yeah.
Mosu meaning...
Mosu no princess.
Yeah, it could have been Mosu no princess, or it could have been Mos Princess. It could have been either...
Could have been Mosu Hime.
Could have been Mosu Hime. Either way, they clearly took it as moss when it was meant to be moth. Yeah. And I can just imagine the translators look, if they ever played the game, looking at that boss and then being like, oh,
could have been
Tiger Bomb.
That could have easily been avoided had they been a little bit more familiar with Godzilla movies and Mothra. They would have just known Mosa is Moth.
Yeah.
Castlevania Bloodlines, you goddarn done goofed. Vampire killer, whatever you want to call it.
It's cooler almost as Princess of Moss, I gotta say.
In conclusion, I think he's a Killick main in Soul Calibur.
I want to give my other answer real quick, which is the boot disc that I burned that allowed pirating games.
Utopia?
I think it was Utopia. You put it in, and there's a really terrible 3D reindeer that rotates
that's
around.
Utopia.
Oh,
I give him Utopia.
I think that 3D reindeer is fine. I wouldn't say it's terrible.
Okay.
I think it's pretty good.
Let's all take a look at that 3D reindeer later.
Rate my reindeer.
300 words from everybody on the 3D reindeer for next week.
Yeah.
300 words.
Let's rotate that in our minds during the break.
Do you think he had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2? Do you remember playing that game on Dreamcast and then a guy says it doesn't look as good as the PlayStation version? Because that happened to me like 12 times.
No, I definitely never heard that.
They were like, oh, it doesn't look any better, man. What, don't you got the PlayStation version, dude? Play it on PlayStation.
That's strange.
I'm like, I'm a goddarn hick. I'm a goddarn redneck. What do you think I got goddarn 2 copies of a video game for 2 different systems for? This guy literally asked me, don't you got it on PlayStation, dude? Can't we play the PlayStation one? No! I stole the goddarn Dreamcast one. Let's play that, right?
That's right.
I stole it from an IRC.
Yeah.
IIRC. I stole it from an IRC.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time for the Snake Break. This week I watched Snake Eyes, the 1998 Brian De Palma film.
Brian De Palma, dude.
Not a lot of snakes. Weird amount of anti-Palestinian propaganda. That's all I'll say about that. I'll also say that the most recently discovered snake was the Philotris chanella, a stunning orange, brown, and red burrowing snake found in Paraguay in May of 2022.
That's cool.
And that's this week's Snake Break.
You know, I never saw Nicolas Cage Snake Eyes, and I've never seen it. Is it good?
It's all right.
It's all right. And then another thing is that a guy I know on the internet just had a Burmese python wander into his home and just hang out there for a while before leaving. So that's an interesting thing to have to live in a place where that's something that could just occur. A Burmese python shows up. It was not.
That's distressing.
Yeah.
Now it's time for us to go to the dirt bag. This is the part of the show where I take a question submitted to us from the bank at patreon.com/insertcredit, where for mere dollars a month, you can submit your own questions, get monthly bonus episodes, and other fun surprises. This week's question comes from Farrell, who asks, are there any games that you played as a child that you have never been able to find the name of or must have dreamed? I've never been able to find what I only remember as a Golden Axe board game with blue tiles on the Genesis.
They might be thinking of Axe Battler on the Master System, but
Axe Battler is pretty good.
There you go. Play Axe Battler, Farrell.
It's not a board game, though.
It's not a board game, but it's gritty, isn't it?
Gritty.
Or is that the Game Gear one? One with grid. There's a grid.
It's the gritty.
It's just Zelda 1, right? It's not...
I thought there was a grid-based...
Wait, Axe Battler is the one with random encounters like an RPG.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then there's another one that's a Zelda game. But neither one of them are like grid movement.
No, I'm just wondering if they could have been smashing some things
They're
together.
grid movement in the way that like those games, like a Zelda or an RPG is, but you know, in that it's all actually on a grid, but it's just...
I'm trying to solve this problem when that's not the actual question.
I like Golden Axe Warrior. That's a good game. That's the Master System one.
Right.
That's the Zelda one.
The Zelda-like one. Yeah.
And Axe Battler's on the Game Gear.
Right. I'm a big fan of Sega Zelda-like.
The Sega Newtopia is what I say.
Yeah, the Sega Newtopia. It's not a Sega Zelda. It's a Sega Hudson Zelda. Yeah. Is what it kind of feels like. It's like Sega's.
Like Sega Newtopia.
It's like a copy. I don't know. It's neat. I like it. I like Newtopia as well. So.
Yeah, Newtopia rules. Are there ones from my childhood that I
figured them all out over the years?
Yeah, I think this is the wrong audience for that because we would find them.
I'm an idiot. I know. I don't think there's a single video game I can't remember.
I have met many people. I remember this very silly interaction I had in Korea with someone who was very drunk coming out of a show. And I got introduced as a guy who knows about video games, and then the drunk person was like, "Oh yeah, well, do you remember this game from my childhood?" I was like, what is it?" And he's like, "Well, it was on the Nintendo." I was like, "I don't really specialize in that." But then I asked him 2 more questions, and I was like, "Oh, is it Super Punch-Out?" And he's like, "Oh yeah."
God, that's crazy.
It was just Super Punch-Out. He was like, there was this guy, and he had like a weak point, and then there was another guy who was really big and round. I was like, oh, well. Okay.
Yeah, oh my! I think there's a higher possibility for people who are on whatever, if this is the right phrasing, people who are on the level that we are. There's a higher possibility of a game that we played as adults that we don't know the name of.
I think that's true.
Because I believe we've all surfed MAME. And we've all been to big old giant arcades with tons of retro games. Either, attached to a bar or in Japan, right? We've all done this and we've all played a lot of games, but I'm pretty sure I got all those too.
There is one that I played at California Arcade Extreme. I keep forgetting whether it's Jalico or Data East, and it's a pseudo 3D rally racer, and I just keep forgetting what it's called, and then I have to go look it up every time. And right now, I don't remember.
Is it the one that's kind of like post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max-ish?
I don't remember
Road
that.
Blasters.
It's very brown. It's very brown. It's not Road Blasters.
I'm just kidding. Mock Rider for NES. Oh, that's not a Jalico or Data East. That's Nintendo.
Yeah.
How weird is it that Nintendo made a post-apocalyptic Mad Max-like motorcycle racing game before Super Mario Brothers?
They were trying everything.
Or was that after? I don't know. It was around the same time. It's weird.
No, I don't see everything.
No, I don't see everything.
So yeah, I guess it does happen as an adult, because that was probably like, I probably played that for the first time 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten, and I can't call it to mind right now. It's like Drift Run or Dust Drift, or and there's no drifting, or it might be like Buggy Run, something like that.
Buggy Run? There are likely video games I played in Japanese arcades, like Try. Did you ever go to Try, Brandon? It was in the same area as Hey. It was a Taito arcade.
Yeah.
It was extensive, a tower of retro video games, like 6 stories of retro games.
Yeah, that's where I think I first played Cliffhanger and Edward Randy there.
Yo, Edward Randy, dude. Edward Randy is a game that has a name that's easy to forget. I think.
that game, despite being easy to forget, as soon as I played it for the first time, I was so woe myself that I remembered it game. Forever.
You know what? It's pretty bad, but I love it.
It's got graphics, though. Can't deny that part.
That's what we signed up for back in the old 1990s.
Give me them graphics.
We signed up for Graphos, and that game sure had them. But yeah, I'm sure there's games I played at Hey that the names of which, no, god darn it, no, okay, never mind. I can remember all of them. I'm thinking like,
just going through the log.
Yeah, there's a list. There's a list populating in my head now. That's just every game I ever played at Try. There's sometimes you like shuffle like there we go. Okay, here we go. The closest I can get is I played Multi Bowl by Bennett Foddy. Do you know Multi Bowl? He set up a game that WarioWare. You don't know Multi Bowl by Bennett Foddy?
The MAME thing. Yeah, sure,
yeah. Oh, randomizes MAME. It sets you. He even
that's cool.
Managed to set up like situations within each game where it just pops you and your buddy into a situation in a game where the two of you have to compete. There's games in there, the names of which I don't know. So that's as close as it gets. It's like Bennett Foddy created that game
to disorient you,
to invoke that feeling
in me personally. Yeah, the feeling that a normie would experience in Try during its heyday. That's a reference to the Hirose Entertainment Yard, HEY.
Next question. What's the most underutilized real-world location for driving games?
Interesting.
Underutilized as in it's been utilized?
Either it hasn't been in driving games that you know of, or it could be used a lot more.
I'm going to stick to ones that have been in games that I feel like should be in more. So first of all, I always race to unlock the Nürburgring in every racing game that I play. You get the full Nürburgring in Gran Turismo 7. You put the PSVR 2 on your head. You throw up all over yourself, right? You get your Subaru WRX. You do whatever you can to get to that situation as quickly as possible. And it's, racetracks like the Nürburgring are always going to be there. John Linneman did a good video where he compared like the Nürburgring and a whole bunch of different PS2 era racing games,
sounds cool.
which was really cool. So the Nürburgring is an old standard, and it's a beautiful track, and that's a real life location that's also a racetrack, but that doesn't quite fit here. I'm thinking about Gran Turismo 4 had a New York stage where you race down through Times Square. There have never really, I don't think there's ever been an international racing event in New York City. There's never been a Grand Prix. They couldn't do it. You can't bust New York, When they say New York strong, they mean New York is strong against having a racetrack built in its city. Like it would never work. It would destroy the city forever if they tried to have a race here. Las Vegas, they can do a Grand Prix just fine on the street, right?
Yep.
But playing Gran Turismo and seeing that New York track where you drive down through Times Square up Broadway and then around you go in some mealy-mouthed direction and you don't really get to have a whole lot of fun. I would like to go up Broadway, up to Columbus Circle, over to Central Park East. I'm talking left-hand turns here, and all the way up to 110th Street, all the way around, all the way down Central Park West, and then all the way down like Riverside Drive, First Avenue, and then back around into Times Square. I think that would be fun as a racetrack, and I think it would look impressive.
I moved to New York City during COVID, and for a couple years, there was nobody on the streets. You could go down into Times Square, and it would be empty. So all you would have to do is set a game during COVID that while everyone was fleeing Manhattan, like this group of drag racers just mask up in their cars and just rip the city up.
I don't need a backstory for why the streets are empty in my driving.
Well, I mean, you can have a crowd. It can be a street track. It can be like goddamn Monaco, the New York Monaco. That's what I want.
For me, it's perhaps along a similar line, but this would sort of be street racing, I suppose. But I like Napa Valley into the mountain ranges. It gets very windy. In Northern California, it gets windy and hilly at the same time. So you're bouncing and you're drifting. And I've only seen it in Road Rash 2, I think. Because otherwise, like, you get San Francisco or you get the Golden Gate Bridge, but you don't get up into the actual twisty-turny part that's quite fun to drive. I guess it's technically in Oh Dear, our video game, because that's what I based the several of the track designs on, but it doesn't look like that. So that would be one for me. I think it's underutilized because it's just fun to drive there as a regular person.
I don't get why only Nintendo has done Moo Moo Farm.
Very good. I thought you were going to go with Wario Stadium, but that was the funnier fault.
Moo Moo Farm, yeah, dude. I think there should be a Moo Moo Farm where you can turn the cows into blood by hitting them hard enough.
Brandon made that game.
Yeah, that's right.
Not cows, dude.
And not
turn
cows,
the cows like hamburger. I want to turn those cows into hamburger.
ROM hack his game.
Oh Dear 2, don't have a cow.
That's right. Unfortunately, you can't communicate this, but I will ever remember when I was sick as a dog, leaning out the side of a rickety train through Poland from Poznan to Krakow, and leaning out there and looking at farmland, and then suddenly there's a drift track with someone with a Honda Civic just like drifting around, and it's the tires are squealing, and then I'm back to farmland, and it's just in the middle of nowhere, this drift track. Unfortunately, that experience can't be replicated by driving in it, I don't think. But if there were a way, I think that would be neat. I guess this would be real weird, but say you're in like a Forza where you can drive all over the place.
That's Forza Horizon, by the way.
Yeah,
just
Forza
making
Horizon.
sure everyone knows that we know he's talking about Forza Horizon, not Forza Motorsport.
But if you're going through Eastern Europe and then suddenly the dirt road ends and there's a drift track and you can mess with it or not, maybe that would give part of that feeling.
God, that's probably how they came up with it, dude.
Yeah, it might be.
Like having seen drift tracks just in the middle of nowhere. Because, I mean, that's how Forza Horizon is. You're driving around and there's just, want to join a drifting race? Right, and then you do it. And then, you get on with your life afterward. And then, you join another one.
What's the best video game to play on your birthday?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I don't really have a seasonal birthday game, like Christmas, like holiday stuff.
I can't explain this, but McDonald's Treasure Land just shot straight into my mind. I don't like McDonald's. I mean, I don't go there, but it's like an easy celebratory kind of game on the Genesis. It's got some fun tunes from Treasure.
It's a birthday party of a video game.
Do you ever mention not liking McDonald's and then someone asks, how can you not like McDonald's?
No, I feel like it's really cool to not like McDonald's. Yeah. I
think it's pretty normal to not like McDonald's.
Yeah, I think as a younger person, like say in college, when I was meeting people by accident that were just thrown into my sphere without any choice on my part, then yeah, I guess probably back then there would be some of that. And then I'd have to explain what a vegetarian is. It gets you down a whole road of when can I stop talking to this person?
Oh yeah. There's just not anything to eat there.
No.
For somebody who doesn't eat meat. You can eat French fries, someone says. Oh, yeah? You can eat a salad. Oh, yeah? Like, what? Am I seriously going to buy the McDonald's salad in a cup?
Why would I go on purpose to eat that? Yeah.
Yeah. And it is weird that people are trying to, like, sell you on it.
Yeah, it's so strange.
You have no stake in this.
Well, no, it's like someone like just a few months ago tried to be like, well, what if you were with your girlfriend and she wanted to eat at McDonald's? Would you ask her to go somewhere else? And I was like, my God, have you ever had a girlfriend?
Have you ever communicated with a human?
It's possible to tell her, I don't want to eat at McDonald's. You can get something. I'll sit in the car or I'll go over there. I'll go over to Burger King because I'm a big Burger King boy. That's not true. I'm not.
Yeah, Jack in the Box.
I recently Uber Eats some food with friends. In the presence of friends, we Uber Eats some food. It was from a hamburger shop that had an Impossible Burger. I specified the toppings I wanted on my burger, and I said, I'll take the Impossible Burger. My friend said, that sounds good. Your configuration of toppings pleases me. I will order the exact same thing, but with a real burger.
Oh, no.
Well, he ate my whole burger. He housed my burger. Okay? He just ate the whole thing. He starts chewing on it and he goes, "This is good. Oh, they make them good here." And then I'm looking at the burger that I have in my hand and I'm looking at the glisten of it. And I'm saying, I think this is a real meat burger, dude. I think you're eating mine. The toppings are the same. And then he goes, "Nah, this is real." He finished my burger. And then I said, "Here, take a bite of this." And he bit into it, red inside. And he's like, "Oh, this is rare. Oh my God, this is mine." And I'm like, okay, so when you bite into real meat, you know it. But when you bite into impossible meat, you don't know it?
You sometimes don't.
What's impossible?
It does fool people.
It did. It fooled him. And I went hungry.
So, birthday games.
But I did have French fries. Who cares? I used to play Super Mario Brothers 3 on my birthday every year, but I don't anymore. I play something else.
What do you play?
That's for you to find out.
Dadgummit. Well, I was hoping I would find out by asking you, but I guess that wasn't the methodology.
It's a secret. It's a secret. It'll be all will be revealed. All will be revealed.
Try Ronald McDonald's Treasureland.
Yeah,
check that one
out. I've honestly played that on my birthday. I played that on my birthday in 2014.
I played Animal Crossing on my birthday once, and then I never played it again.
Did they give you a present?
Yeah, everyone from the island showed up to throw me a party, and something about it unnerved me to the point that I just have not played Animal Crossing ever since.
Wow. Those games are manipulative, man.
Does Nights into Dreams, do you put your birthday into the Saturn BIOS?
I didn't put my birthday in there.
So that then Nights knows when it's your birthday. See, this is the kind of thing that I will hallucinate.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that I will make up or like half remember and not be sure of. It's very specific micro details.
I think Knight's the characters in the same goddamn boat's Ronald McDonald as far as I'm concerned, where there's two people I don't want to know when it's my birthday.
I think you're thinking about Jesus's birthday.
Oh, Jesus, I know.
If those two guys showed up and surprised me on my birthday, Ronald McDonald and Knights, you got a clown and then you've got like a type of jester that flies.
Yeah,
that's a goddamn heart attack waiting to happen goddamn twice.
I guess what I'm going for here is clowns on your birthday.
Yeah, you also play Mega Man 8.
That's flat out sick. I'm Clown Man, or whatever he says.
I'm Clown Man. Yeah.
I'm Clown Man.
God, Clown.
You know what I did on my birthday?
What you did?
I went to the zoo.
Oh, is that a Rocky 2 reference? That's a joke.
No, it's just a real life thing that
I was just talking to somebody about Rocky 2.
Frank, did I tell you about my amazing zoo idea?
I don't think you told me about your amazing zoo idea.
Okay,
no.
well, I haven't actually done this, but I purchased a membership to the zoo and then was not afforded occasion to go very many times.
Yeah.
But if you can go to the zoo anytime because you have a membership, you could, like, instead of working from a cafe, you could work from the zoo.
From the zoo, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking this was such a cool, fun idea. And at the Oakland Zoo, they have that gondola that goes up to.
Yeah, you go up the gondola with your laptop and
you go sit
up there,
looking upon all creation while laptoping your work.
Or if I'm not mistaken, one of the windows in that building looks out to where bears may or may not be. Sometimes
bears may or may not be there. Bison may or may not be there.
Bears may or may not be everywhere, dude.
There's all kinds of large brown creatures that you could gaze upon potentially.
Working from the zoo.
It's a real good idea, WFZ, but I have not done it.
Membership to the zoo, and it's just like, weren't we all goddamn born with that? You know what I mean? Wow. On this goddamn planet.
Morning zoo crew.
They used to just call it imprisoning the animals. Now they call it a membership to the zoo. Come on.
Time for a lightning round. This is a game that Tim Rogers invented and gave to me.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Play the sting, Esper. It's time for Wikipedia Shootout.
Come on and give it your best shot.
All right.
Yeah, they're going to play a sting here. So here are the rules. I am going to name 2 articles on Wikipedia. I'm going to give you the titles of those articles. You're not allowed to go on Wikipedia. All you have to do is guess which of them has the higher word count. For reasons I have forgotten, I did not include the references section in the count, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
Here we go. Our first shootout is Driver, video game, versus Driving Miss Daisy. Which has the higher word count?
Oh man, I think Driving Miss Daisy. I think because it's more of like a.
It won Academy Awards.
It won Academy Awards, and it was beloved, but it is also a mystical old black man who's basically kind of a slave situation. So there's a lot more to say about that.
Real Green Book situation, yeah.
Yeah,
except the opposite.
That's my guess.
Can we play this as a team? Let's try to agree. I would agree. Let's try to agree on that.
You designed the game.
Well, I don't agree, but
okay.
You don't? Okay, well, convince us then.
Well, I think that Driver has sequels, right? Like, he didn't,
that's true.
I don't know that.
All right.
If he specified Driver series or Driver first.
I specified Driver video game.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's hard because sometimes the first page links to the series separately, and sometimes it just shows everything. So we'd have to guess whether the author was like, I'm going to include the sequels in the like legacy section.
So see, if we were competing against each other, I'd be going that route. I'd be doing
you'd be betting the other way. I mean, we can if you want to compete.
Well,
we can try.
No. Let's. How many of these are there?
There are 8.
8.
So what are we going? What's a win state for us?
I think the win state is if you get 5 out of 8.
5 out of 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is the one to like gamble on. So I think we stick with Miss Daisy. Sticking with Miss Daisy. Yeah.
Driver has 2,061 words. Daisy has 2,068 words.
Nice. We did it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're 1 for 1 so far.
Holy shnikes.
I knew those extra 7 words were in there.
7 words. That's close. We need to keep track of what the closest margins are.
Yeah. Alone in the Dark, 1992 video game, versus Alone in the Dark, 2005 film.
Video game.
Video game, I think.
I mean, I can explain why. The video game's kind of important. The film's kind of trash. I don't think there's an interesting narrative around the film. I'd be really amused if the film is the winner. Yeah. I don't mind either way.
Can't help but thinking this is like a trick question.
It does feel like a trap because it feels so obvious that the video game would be more.
Alone in the Dark is an important video game, but it's also an important video game that gets completely left out of so many important video game conversations, doesn't it? We just it's like everybody thinks Resident Evil was like the first horror video game. So it has kind of fallen off the bottom of mainstream recognition. So
yeah.
So your vote is for the video game.
Well, we're not sure. We're still thinking.
Yeah. I'm just trying to provide reasons the video game might be lesser.
It is true that my instinct is for the video game, but should we just stick with it? What do you think?
It is an important video game. I don't like it. Who here likes the game Alone in the Dark?
Oh, no. I like the 360 PS3 one though, kind of.
Oh yeah, with the where you open the jacket and your guy looks in there.
Yeah.
Goichi Suda was so impressed by that.
Nice.
He lost his mind when he saw it. He stood up at his desk and he like yelled at me. He's like, "Get over here! Look at this! Come here!" And I came over and he goes, "Do you see this? Can we get this?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Can we get this, dude?" So.
Sounds like you're going with the video game.
True story.
Yeah, video game.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
The video game has 3,850 words.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
The film has 2,305 words.
Nice.
You're
That's a
2 for
huge
2.
differential,
Okay,
Carl.
Yeah. 1,000
We
words.
now have some data on trickery with Jaffe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your next is Audrey Hepburn versus Tifa Lockhart.
Oh my god, that's hard.
That's a tough one. I'm
pogging at this one. This is good.
I think it's got to be Audrey Hepburn. I think it has to be because Tifa.
Who sold more PlayStations though?
It's true. Tifa hasn't been in as many things as Audrey Hepburn. That's just true.
How many tweets are there about
about
Audrey Hepburn?
That's a different game.
It's true. How many fanfics?
How many? Yeah, check the fanfics. We don't need to check the fanfics.
Probably a fair number, actually.
Audrey Hepburn's interesting. You ever see Charade? You ever see that?
Yeah, Charade.
It's a good film.
Yep. Do.
I'm sticking with Hepburn on this.
Yeah, I think it's got to be her.
Like Tim,
just the college dorm posters alone.
If we can discuss the juxtaposition here, are you basically calling Tifa the Audrey Hepburn of video games?
I think I am. I think I am, Tim Rogers.
Those are different shapes,
Tifa's
people.
been in more stuff. Tifa's not been in more stuff, but Tifa's been in more stuff that people talk and write about.
I think
like Wikipedia
is the
people.
Audrey Hepburn of
You
video
think
games.
Tifa has been in more things?
No, I said more things that people write about currently on the internet.
If I'm being honest, the reason I made this comparison is because both are college dorm posters.
That is true. That is true.
I still think it's Audrey Hepburn. I think it is.
I'll throw it in for Audrey Hepburn as well.
Consider Wikipedia writers, they do skew kind of older too.
They skew older, but the young people are in there writing big old tomes.
It's true.
Like I'm thinking about what the sections are for Audrey Hepburn. She's definitely had more. There's more stuff to talk about when you talk about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, I will give in to peer pressure again.
Okay.
Wait. Do you disagree, Frank?
He does.
No, I'm just on the fence.
Okay. Well, let's see
Audrey
what happens.
Hepburn has 9,058 words.
Oh Lord,
There we go.
9,058. And Tifa Lockhart has a mere 4,100.
There we go. Yeah.
A huge differential.
Yeah.
Charles.
Yeah.
All right. Our next one, Tetris
Big
versus Dominoes.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
All right, Domino's is I assume there's no trickery with like it's the pizza chain or whatever, right? Like it's
it's the article called Domino's.
Not the disambiguation page either.
It's
right?
the Domino's game.
Well, okay, so that's my thing. Is like is I wonder if it's the same page describes the object and the game.
That's a question.
I think probably. And I wonder if variants, like play variants and stuff, are in this article, or like types of games played with.
I have directed many people to read the Wikipedia article on checkers, which I find very interesting, and it is quite lengthy. So it's possible the Domino's one is. I've looked at the Domino's one in the past, but I did not expand all the sections. So
my feeling is toward Domino's, but also if Tetris is like. If they include all the games in the legacy section, and if they talk about the movie and stuff, but those will all be like
story,
one paragraph
the origin, the
each,
history
linking
of it
to something bigger. So, could be that.
Well, I bet Domino's has a much more interesting
deeper
history.
lore on the history.
Yeah, but its history is ancient and nebulous, and originates in time immemorial, perhaps.
And it wasn't a norm the gaming historian video to copy. Yeah,
they might have been playing dominoes with cuneiform instead of dots. You know, like we don't even know how old dominoes are as a sport game, right? I don't know. Not off the top of my head.
Well, we should read the Wikipedia article.
I find myself a fancier of ancient games. However, I don't really know all that much about dominoes, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I think we're doing pretty good so far in terms of our hit rate.
You got 3 for 3.
Dudes play dominoes in Union Square Park all day, every day. However, cops play Tetris on the subway.
Yeah.
So, like, directly beneath the chairs and tables of these dominoes players. So what are we to say?
If it was Mahjong, it would be a no question for me. I still think Dominoes. I think it's Dominoes.
I'm good with Dominoes. Yeah.
Tim, you go with
Okay,
Dominoes?
I'm dissenting and saying Tetris, but I'll go with the Dominoes. We're playing as a team. So.
All right. Tetris is 7,535 words.
Okay.
Dominoes is 4,551 words.
Wow.
First L.
Tetris is okay, so the record shows that I did dissent, but I'm not asking for a point here. I'm not asking that we change the rules. Tetris is a very important video game as far as video games go. It's more important than most.
I just thought there would be a lot more discussion about Domino's history and cultural impact and etc.
There's just so much more of a paper trail on Tetris that can translate directly into perfectly sourced Wikipedia text.
Maybe I don't know the paper trail of Domino's.
Me neither.
Of it.
Time immemorial. Is there a section about the cuneiform variants in there?
I don't believe so.
With little wedges instead of dots. We got those.
Here's your next one. Your next shootout is Dragon Quest versus Final Fantasy.
Oh, Final Fantasy.
Okay. So first games in both, right?
Yeah.
No, just the landing page, the article called Dragon Quest and the article called Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy has 84 billion spin-offs. So does Dragon Quest has like 82 billion spin-offs.
Yeah, only 82 billion.
I
agree.
Final
I think
Fantasy.
it's
Final
and also
Fantasy.
and we're talking about English language Wikipedia. It might be different in Japanese language Wikipedia.
Harder to get a word count on Japanese. You got to do character count, and then what does that even mean?
All right. Well, sounds like an easy consensus. Well,
Dragon
Dragon Quest is 9,602 words.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy 7,990.
Wow.
Well, that's good. That's good, but that's weird.
That's
It is weird.
That's weird because Final Fantasy, every game is so different.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why the individual game pages are enormous.
Can we now know what is on those pages? Because with this one specifically, I'm curious, what does the landing page indicate? Is it the first game? Is it the series? What is it
they're
default
both
to?
the series.
It's
They're
the
both
series.
the series.
I feel like the Dragon Quest series is a de facto landing page that probably talks in more detail, whereas the Final Fantasy, or it's a page that just has everything, where the Final Fantasy one
the opposite
is like a landing page with lots of links to other
That's fair.
articles. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because every Final Fantasy game is so different staff, different team, different systems, different
this
characters.
has to be a different article.
Yeah. So they would,
All right.
Well,
That's
classic.
we got
That's your
hosed on that
second
one.
strike.
Yeah.
And we got
hosed.
3 games left to get through.
right,
This
let's
is
do it.
intense. Our next one is NFL 2K, the series, versus the 2000 NFL season.
Oh, geez.
NFL season.
The NFL season, there weren't too many NFL 2K games before EA's Madden buyout kind of clipped them off.
Brandon?
Yeah, I'm inclined to go with the season because football nerds are they're real detail oriented.
A lot of stats. A lot of
Okay.
stats plop in there.
NFL 2K is 1,162 words. The 2000 NFL season is 2,495 words.
Nice, good.
Okay, so you're still in the game. We're at 4 out of 6. 2 to go. This is getting tense. Our next article is Athlete's Foot versus Toe Jam and Earl.
Shoot, medical conditions on Wikipedia are like a goddarn coin flip between most exhaustive article in the world and an insanely like maddeningly short thing. That's just like, athlete's foot is a fungal condition. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Versus like the first recorded instance
in cuneiform
was in the Roman Empire, the age of sandals or whatever.
I would say that I bet if it were a more specific condition, then we would like Lou Gehrig's disease or whatever. You'd have like more history and that kind of stuff. And then with Athlete's Foot, it might be one of those shorter ones. But Toe Jam and Earl is not like the biggest video game to talk about.
No, but there's a lot of reference. And like that's what feeds Wikipedia, is that reference exists. There's a lot known about its creators and the remake surfaced some things and like it was very heavily promoted in its day even.
Toe Jam and Earl?
Yeah. No, Athlete's Foot.
Athlete's Foot was very highly promoted. I saw so many
Check out
ads.
this hot new fungus.
Tough accents and acting. Yeah.
That's right.
That Madden, as he would say, boom, tough accents and acting.
That's right.
Okay, what are you going with, guys?
Boom!
I'm going to go with Toe Jam and Earl.
This is the hardest one so far, in my opinion.
I agree.
Toe Jam and Earl is like a video game that when people talk about it, it's always annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's not very good.
Yep.
And the people who like it are almost exclusively people who didn't play a lot of video games and thought it was cool. So it's weirdly a video game that a lot of people who don't play video games like know.
Yeah, it was marketed a lot.
Yeah, and it was.
It's a very strange game to have been marketed that much. As a game, it's not regular.
Sega had nothing else to do.
They didn't know what it was right up until probably a couple weeks before they released it.
That's right. Yeah.
What the genre was even.
But they knew what those guys looked like.
It might have a tantalizing story. It might have an interesting tale.
So Frank's going with Toe Jam and Earl. What are you guys going with?
I'm going to go with Toe Jam and Earl as well.
Okay.
I'm just going to do it.
I'm feeling paralyzed, so let's. I'll go with the majority.
Athlete's Foot, 3,004.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Toe Jam and Earl, 2,563.
Athlete's Foot.
Right.
I don't feel bad.
All right. Okay, it all comes down to this.
Last one. Let's kick
Here
it.
we go. It all comes down to the final challenge. which is video game versus art.
Shoot.
Oh,
shoot.
I feel like this is like a season finale sort of one.
Now, this is a Fallout kind of thing where I'm not sure we're getting a second season, so we gotta put it all on the last episode.
I feel like you gotta, I mean, I don't know, whatever.
Boy.
Video game versus art. I'm just looking at somebody's Instagram right now. I don't.
I'm gonna go art because
Struggling.
There's all kinds of different art, right? Like there's a section in there for different art. There's a section in there for what is art, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So I know that art. Obviously, these are both going to be landing pages, but I think that art. God, like I could feel as though art would have like when they'll talk about types and they'll talk about sculpture, traditional art, new modern art, etc., and then things within that. And video games maybe doesn't have as many sections, but it could be longer explained because of the kinds of people on the internet.
Yeah,
I think I would probably want to go with art, but it's hard to say.
I mean, video game has the possibility to include like the full story of like Space War and Pong and whatever, whereas art does not have that. Right. Art is a concept, video game is a product.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's not going to go into the biography.
Video game has a direct history, and art is very indirect. But that gets down to like with art being a more expansive concept. It all depends on how landing pagey this landing page is versus how much they want to get into. Is art history a subsection? Is art criticism a subsection in here? You know, like
it's hard to think about, isn't it?
It is.
It's too hard.
I'm gonna go with art.
I'm sticking with art as well.
Sticking with art.
Okay.
I won't disagree, but I will say I think it's video games. But I'll stay on the team. I'm staying on the team.
All right. Art is 9,000.
Only 9,000.
749 words.
That's good.
Video game.
Yeah.
Here it
is 11,943 words.
God darn it, video game.
Better luck next time on the Wikipedia Shootout.
Come on and give it your best shot.
I didn't want to break the team. You guys both agreed.
You could have convinced me, maybe.
God, we would have won handily if I had just asserted myself in both of those ones where I marked a dissent. I marked a dissent, but it was me who chose to make it a team event. So
that's on you.
Whose goddamn fault is it? I didn't goddamn win this week's $1 million check or whatever it is the winner gets.
So I guess I'm the winner, so I get to come up with a question for the start of next week's episode.
Hey man, knock yourself out, bro.
I see what you've done here, Tim.
Knock yourself out, bro.
I'm not happy about it. Oh. All right. Who's got recommendations this week?
I got some. Suddenly, but without my real awareness of it, when I hit the caps lock key, quite often accidentally, it would put up this big caps lock image to let me know that I had turned caps lock on my monitor, taking up about 5% of the screen, lasting for 5 seconds. I was searching all over the god-darned internet trying to find how to get rid of this thing. And if this has happened to you, perhaps you own a Logitech mouse, which you needed to assign some key bindings to, which means you had to install Logi Options Plus. Yeah.
Or as I call it, Logi Options Plus. Yeah.
Logi Options Plus. Yeah, because I also have one of them.
Have you ever had the copy? I have copy and paste. I'm sorry to hijack. I have copy and paste on here on my two side buttons.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's what I needed.
Very occasionally, Logitech's web service stops working, so I can't copy and paste with my mouse.
Man.
Until they fix it for a couple hours.
So if you've had that problem, if you have Logi Options, it might be that your mouse's software is causing your Cherry keyboard to pop up a caps lock notification when you hit caps lock. That's what was true for me. Another thing is, while you're in there, turn off the AI stuff that they snuck in that I didn't know about until I was looking at it.
They literally have a mappable option to like the AI text grammar check or whatever to put on a button.
Yeah.
Makes me god darn sick.
Yeah. Okay, two more quick ones. I watched They Cloned Tyrone last night, and I had a good time.
Oh yeah, that movie looks good.
If you haven't seen that, give it a look. One of my favorite things about it is the intentionality of the time hopping that you see in the frame, because you got like people dressed in some 70s-ish attire, driving 70s-ish cars with 90s televisions and references to SpongeBob and the blockchain. So it's a fun kind of spin around they got going, but it's a neat sci-fi film with blaxploitation references and leanings, and it's neat. It's not like amazing, but it's pretty cool. And lastly, if you like the Star Trek original series, I think this may have been mentioned by Frank at some point, but I recently confirmed this myself. If you like the Star Trek original series at all, check out the cartoons. It's basically just a bunch more episodes with the exact same cast.
Yeah, season 4.
And they are shorter with less fluff in them, and they can go to more places because it's just cartoons. So if you liked that show, there's some more of it. If you haven't watched that, it's just like the same tone and everything. So
I'd be curious what you think about the Star Trek comics.
Yeah, One Wonders.
Yeah, One Wonders. Let us know.
All right.
In the comments, which Star Trek comics Brandon should read.
You hear my dog barking directly under my door frame to try to make sure that I know that there's doings transpiring.
There's doings afoot.
She's got to let me know.
The happy little doggies. I got my 2 dogs right here.
Yeah, I saw one dooting by.
Yeah, they kind of flutter around in here. Yeah, they float around.
You got any recos?
Not really. I don't think.
It's fine. I've got some recommendations. I just watched an anime called Great Pretender on Netflix, which I really liked. It's a series about some international con artists who scam a bunch of guys and get into hijinks. I think that's a fun time if you're looking for fun times.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it. I'll give it a
Who
look.
said I was?
Yeah. Well, maybe I'm talking to the audience and not you. I know your time is limited.
Who said I was?
Okay. Let's see. What else have I been up to? Here's something. If you enjoyed this episode, I would like to recommend that you recommend this show to your friends in real life.
Yeah, do the word of mouth.
You could also rate us and review us on iTunes, where we're taking votes on whether or not to cancel Violence Island. It's in your hands. You could also support us on patreon.com/insertcredit to pay most of us, keep the lights on. If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, you can do that by contacting me at show@insertcredit.com. You could also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find us on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
And happy birthday. I was kind of hoping we would all go, I'm Clown Man, and then just hear Frank go, I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Clown Man. I'm Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
Yeah, Esper, edit those in instead of the Tim and Brandon parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
I'm Clown Man.
I'm Spartacus.
How am I not myself?
Man, Spartacus is so good.